noise on me. We're live. How about that entrance music for you? Ladies and gentlemen in the studio audience, please put your hands together for Faris, Al-Sultan, Iron Man champion. Unbelievable. It's great to meet you. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Excited to talk to you because you're kind of an enigma. We don't know a lot about you, especially in the United States. You're not on Twitter. You don't tweet all the time. Your website looks like it was built maybe, I don't know, 8 years ago. It's not that updated. There's not a lot of articles about you, so I'm pumped to learn more. Why is that? No Twitter, Faris. I mean, every triathlete, especially the pro ones, are tweeting all day long now.
Yeah, and you know, if you just read through it, how many of 100 tweets, how many are interesting? I've had a breakfast.
Well,
okay.
How's anyone going to know that you worked out?
Yeah.
If you're not tweeting it.
Yeah. So, but see, you know, I was never a big fan of just sending out a message if I don't have to say anything, and also with Facebook.
I don't understand that. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm not on Facebook either. And the Facebook website, the Facebook site that is existing isn't even mine.
It's a fake.
When Facebook came up, a guy told me that he wanted to do that site, and I was like, okay, as long as you don't claim you're me, then I'm fine with it. And I've never taken over. And you know, the problem is that, in my opinion, you have to feed that constantly with interesting news, and just one guy, I don't think that he can constantly, you know, produce enough interesting stuff.
You're not narcissistic enough to be a triathlete, I don't think. Everybody else, we all think that we're so interesting that we need to be giving our thoughts every day on Twitter.
On everything. Yeah, no, nah.
I'm one of those idiots, by the way. I'll confess to you right now.
Like
Faris, Iraqi mother, German father. Is that correct?
No, the other way around.
Other way around. Mark, I got to talk
Did I
about
write
your
that right?
research.
Oh,
You
well,
said, I knew that, but born in Munich.
Yeah.
Interesting background. Talk to me about the family and how you grew up and how your folks met.
Well, my dad was one of the best pupils in Iraq in 1958. He got a scholarship to study abroad, choose Germany, and started studying chemistry, made his PhD, but then decided that, you know, when my dad left Iraq, Iraq was still a kingdom. And when he was supposed to go back, Iraq was already ruled by the Ba'ath Party and Saddam Hussein. And, you know, he decided, that's not that good, and he'd rather stay in Germany. And he never worked as a chemist, started working as a translator and interpreter, and does so to this day. And
really?
met my mom in an office. She was a secretary at an office where he was working freelance. So that's how they met. And yeah.
Very cool story. Very cool story. You're 37 years old. 2005, you won Kona, which is just huge to have a world championship under your belt. Does it seem like yesterday, or does that seem like it was 2005? It's a decade ago, and you're still going.
It seems like it was in the Middle Ages, honestly. Obviously, it was a great thing, and it really changed my life, for sure.
How so? In terms of sponsorship and money coming in and being able to continue to do this another 10 years?
There was one thing. The other thing was, of course, the attention. Until that day, let's say, for example, after Kona in 2004, where I was third, which wasn't a bad result.
It's a great result.
But with Norman won the race, I gave 2 interviews after the race. After my victory in Kona, I gave 2 interviews a week constantly for 50 weeks straight.
Wow.
And so that was a huge change. And you're the marked guy, you know, and at every race I turned up, whether it was a sprint distance Bundesliga race or the next Ironman race, everybody was looking at me, and you know, all these expectations. And so that has changed. Obviously, also the sponsorship and the money. Although I haven't had much more sponsors after my victory. I kept going with the same ones. They just paid more.
That's good. That's not a bad thing. So in that year following your Kona victory, how many Speedo questions did you have to answer? If you did 50 weeks, 2 interviews a week, I'm thinking at least 100 Speedo questions.
Almost, yeah. This is still one of the things that that seems so interesting for everyone. And I still answer the same way when the Speedo question comes up. When I started the sport, that was the normal race attire. You know, that was just it, and I just stuck to it.
Right. It was comfortable.
It was comfortable, and I liked it, and maybe because I have a swimming background, and swimming in a Speedo was just the normal thing before all that suits came up and everything.
Yeah.
So it just felt normal.
Yeah. All right. So my next question is, why do you wear a Speedo? We're just kidding. But now think about it. Tim Reed, a young guy. You know Timbo Reed at all?
Not closely, but of course I know him. Yeah.
So we talked to him about this, and he's kind of doing it. One, partly because he felt it was more comfortable for him, but also it's kind of like a marketing thing. Now it's unique and throwback, and you made it cool. It was Faris. These people are stealing from you. Call out Tim Reed now and challenge him to a fight, and tell him he needs to go back to regular, longer.
Maybe I should ask for royalty.
Yes. He won some big races recently. You should be getting some of that money. What do you think about the impact of Bahrain and the money they're putting into the sport and the new races in the Middle East? You probably have an interesting perspective on that, given your international, multicultural background.
Well, I do understand the Arabs pretty well. How they work, how they think. Although I'm way too German in my thinking, and to me, it's pretty hard to work with them. I mean, we've had the Abu Dhabi team going on, and two friends of mine and me, we were managing and operating that team.
You were working with Franco Vatterrad on that?
No.
Oh,
that was
something different.
That was my team.
Your team.
Me
Okay.
and two friends we wanted to have a professional triathlon team, and the tourism authority of Abu Dhabi was our main sponsor.
Okay.
And so we were working with them, but it's not easy. It's not easy. It's they eventually everything works, but it takes a long time, and it's very different from the German mentality where everything has to be organized and structured, and but I learned a lot. It was a big experience, and I think the guys now working with Bahrain will have the same experience.
So what is their approach? Is it they just throw money at it and just like make it work eventually?
Or is it more the bureaucracy because you have families involved and government? Is that what slows things down?
No, it's just sometimes the Arabs really, they think something's cool, they want to have it, but they don't really know what to do with it. So it's like buying that Lamborghini. You have it in the garage, but you don't really know how to drive it and where to drive it. And
well, the prince just bought 13 Lamborghinis.
Did he? Oh yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. What do you think those guys are getting paid on the team? Any speculation?
I have no idea, but I don't think that is so crazy money. When I approached the Abu Dhabi Tourism Authority with my ideas, I didn't add anything up. Like the Arab bonus or whatever. I approached them the same way I would have approached any other sponsor, and of course, these guys. I mean, I've seen the two princes in South Africa. Saw the whole entourage thing, and that is. I mean, to me, it would be strenuous to travel with all those people and to see all that. And you go for a bike ride, and there's 50 people with you. I mean, this is exhausting. I mean, to me, it would be horrible.
For the record, Faris arrived alone today on his bicycle. Very nice bicycle, by the way. What are you riding? A Stork?
Yeah, still.
So did they approach you to be on this team?
No, because that is obvious because I'm not on such good terms with my dear friend Maka, and as he is involved, so I won't be involved. They were asking me last year whether I'd like to swim with them when they did that swim from Bahrain to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty short notice, and I decided that I couldn't do it. But that would have been a cool thing. I like long distance swimming, and I think it was a cool thing that they did it.
You started out as a college swimmer, right? Is that your that's how you got introduced to the sport of triathlon?
Yeah, the whole sports structure is a bit different in Germany. We don't have so much sport with the schools. It's all club related. So I started as a swimmer, but I started too late with competitive swimming. I was almost 15 years old, and it was quite obvious after a couple of months that I'll never be a great swimmer.
So I have to start my kid in swimming. He's 1 year old. I have to basically start him next year.
Yeah, just make sure he hates it by the time he's 12.
Yeah, I want him to resent me by the time he's 10.
Yeah.
Before his first pube, I want him to hate me.
Well, if he's anything like you, he's got about 15
He
years.
could be 17. So when are you going to start your kids in swimming? You've got one now, right? One child?
Yeah, one little boy, and he already starts swimming because I want him to be able to swim as soon as possible because I don't want him to drown somewhere.
That's true. It's a safety thing, right?
Yeah, that's the main thing. What I don't want him to become is a triathlete. That's something I try to avoid. I'd rather want him to be a soccer player or something different for sure.
Right. You get more money and more chicks playing soccer.
One thing, and the other thing that if he'd be in triathlon, I can't imagine what he has to listen to all the time. It's like your dad did this and your mom did that, and it's just horrible.
No, I think you're right. I think about Dave Scott's kid now being a pro triathlete, and it's such a thing to live up to, and I understand why it might be cool to follow in his footsteps, but at the same time, that's going to be constant questions, constant comparison to Dave. Look what I'm doing right now, and you're never going to win 6 in this era. You're never going to win 6 championships. Winning one is a miracle.
Yeah, and I don't think that it's joyful, if you have all these comparisons constantly, and no.
That's why my son, I'm encouraging not to have a fake radio show on the internet, because he can never live up to this. These 5,000 listeners I have, he'll just be so disappointed. Hey, you mentioned Macca, and I don't know the guy very well. Obviously follow him from afar, but there's always conflicts, and he's kind of a trash talker. What's been your experience with him? Why was there a falling out, or just?
I really don't want to repeat old stories, and since Macca is retired and everything, it has all cooled off, and but let's say that we weren't on good terms, and but Macca doesn't have many friends amongst the pros anyway, so I'm not so special.
How you like living in the UAE?
Well, I used to live in the UAE. Now I'm back in Munich. I lived there for a couple of years, especially during winter time. That's where I spent months. And I liked it a lot because training wise, it was the perfect place. At least for me, it was. You had loads and loads and loads of roads, perfect roads, nice conditions, especially, between December and March. And nobody would bother you. You could go for a 6-hour bike ride and on a wide shoulder, and
that's pretty cool.
I was super focused there on training all the time, and but now with the baby, I used to be in the UAE for 4 weeks, come back to Germany for a week, go back. But now with the kid, I don't want to leave for 4 weeks anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't want to be gone 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days is good to recover a bit, but not 4 weeks anymore.
So a lot of points available tomorrow. This could be, you do well tomorrow, you're qualified, and then the next race is Kona. Is that the plan for this year?
That would be nice, but you cannot really gamble on a win. So I really want to go to Kona because I don't want to leave Kona with a DNF, and but I scheduled Ironman Zurich in as well. So okay. I have the Ronnie Schildknecht program. I'm going to fight him tomorrow and in Zurich again in a couple of weeks. So so it will be tough. 3 Ironmans in a relatively short period of time. But that is how it is. And if you haven't brought any points from last year, then this is what you have to do.
Right. Yeah, you do have to race more frequently now, don't you? Was it easier to qualify 10 years ago as a pro for Kona, particularly if you had a win under your belt at one point?
Well, I mean, I never had to take the Kona winner bonus. I mean, I'm still entitled to race in Kona, but only as an age group athlete nowadays. And this is obviously not what I want to do, because I don't need another finisher T-shirt from there. So I think it was a bit easier. The density in the field has become stronger over the last couple of years.
Interesting.
Still, the top is still the same. And a couple of years when Pete Jacobs won the race, he said in his speech that he didn't do something special. He just did what he had to do in order to win the race. And in my opinion, thank God, that hasn't changed in the last 10 to 15 years. You know, some guys cycle a bit faster and run a bit slower, others run faster, but basically what you have to do, if you look at the times, is the same.
Right. It's consistency. It's not going too crazy on the bike, not going too crazy on the swim.
It all depends on your abilities. You know, if you're Norman Stadler or Sebastian Kienle, you don't wait for the run. That would be no good option. But if you're a Crowe, then you wait for the run, obviously. And so you have to play with what you have, you know, and you cannot, you cannot try to imitate somebody else's race strategy if you don't have the abilities of that person.
Right. So one of the things we're doing on our website is we started fantasy triathlon. Are you familiar with fantasy sports at all? Where you basically you pick a team as if you're the team manager. You select 5 women, 5 men, and then you get points based on if they're first out of the water, how they do on the bike, and then of course big points for podium. And people could actually play with money, and it's legal, unlike what Ironman does with their lottery. But this was legal. It's basically a legal way to wager money on the triathlon. So got a bunch of people playing this weekend. Who do you like on the men's and women's side in this particular event?
I mean, I like Ronny Schildknecht and I like Andreas Rehlert.
Picking all the Germans.
Yeah, no, more or less. I mean, so many other guys you see at races, you greet each other, you may exchange a few words, but that's it. You hardly know them. The only other guy I know is Jeremy Jurkiewicz from France. He was on my team, on the Abu Dhabi team. Nice guy, quiet guy, excellent swimmer, for example, and very consistent on the run. His bike isn't quite up there yet, but very, very promising guy, and won Ironman Western Australia. So yeah, so this would be probably my favorite ones.
Yeah. It's a stacked field. I mean, we really do have a lot of people here. This is a good race.
Have you ever raced a field this stacked outside of Kona?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, if you were racing in Frankfurt, there was always a strong field.
It's true.
And where else? Yeah, probably Frankfurt was the best field outside of Kona.
What is it, Faris, about Germany and triathlon? It's such a popular thing there. When we went to Kona last year, we interviewed Jan Frodeno. He had like a camera crew, a German reality television crew following him around. And it seems like, first of all, there's a lot of really, really good German triathletes, particularly in the long course stuff. Is there something culturally that happens in that country that...
I gotta ask that question frequently, and I don't have the perfect answer to that question. But I think that triathlon, especially on the long course, to some degree suits the work ethic that we bring along.
Yeah.
And then in Germany, we always, of course, we always complain about not having enough media, not making enough money. But compared to other countries, we are quite well represented on the media side, and of course also due to all the success that we've had. I mean, we've had Norman winning twice, me winning once in Kona, then we have now Sebastian Kienle, the ruling champ. We've had short course world champion with Daniel Unger. We have had the Olympic gold medal winner with Jan Frodeno. So we have some really, really good athletes, and of course that, you know, that leads other people, to pick up the sport. And then we have great races that are very well organized.
Sure.
And they have better TV coverage than Kona has. So, you know.
If you look at Challenge Roth has great coverage, fantastic live coverage.
Challenge Roth, Frankfurt, I mean, they are on live TV.
Yeah.
And, Kona doesn't have that.
So this would be a good opportunity to maybe trash the Australians, because they get a lot of credit, too, for having a lot of good triathletes. Let's bash them. Let's take down Australia right now.
Well, the Australians have a lot of triathletes, a lot of good triathletes, and look where they all race. They all race in the US and in Europe. And it's not like that you are a super... I've never been to Australia, but that's what my Australian fellow triathletes told me. It's not like that you're a superstar if you're a successful Australian athlete in Australia. There might be some rugby player that is way more famous and popular than you are, and he's just playing on some team. And so, I don't know why that is, especially if they have the highest density of triathletes all over the world. But yeah.
So you're 37. How many more good years do you have left, do you think? Are you starting to think about that at all?
None. The good years are gone.
You really think so?
Do you plan on doing a retirement tour like Macca, not finishing as many races as possible?
Go around and collect appearance fees?
No, of course, appearance fee is always nice, but nowadays with WTC, you hardly get any, so that wouldn't be worth it. No, the greatness is gone. I mean, I've had the 3 magic years in 04, 05, and 06.
Yeah.
This was when, I was really good at it. Then, it dropped down pretty steep. And
it's just a matter of aging, right? You just get a little older?
To some degree, it's age, injuries, mental problems, all kinds of stuff. You have highs, you have lows. And then in 2012, I had another really good season. I won in Austria. I was 5th in Kona again, 2nd in Abu Dhabi, 2nd in Koh Samui. So this was another really good season for me. Also, no greatness there, but really solid. A
lot of people would kill for that season, by the way.
Yeah, but if we're really, really on the top,
I hear you.
So, the perspective changes a bit.
Sure.
So I do hope to have one more good season, but the plan is to retire in 2017. Before I hit 40, I'm going to retire for sure, and maybe earlier. Depends on whether I'm still healthy, whether I'm still up, to race against the good ones, and not get dropped by 30 minutes or something.
Right. So you'll be 40 when that happens. That's still a young age. You've got a lot of life left. What will you do? Will you have to get a job, or have you been able to save up enough money through the sport that you can sort of be retired?
I married a rich wife.
You did.
Nice job.
Give it up for Faris, Al-Sultan, everybody. Oh my God, that's great.
No, seriously. I don't necessarily have to start working the next day once I retire, and obviously, haven't had that much success. You have some opportunities. I can always be a coach, but this is something that I'm not so keen on doing, at least not for age group athletes.
They're the worst, aren't we? Age groupers. They're just a pain in the ass.
It's not that, but I have, if I go for a run with a Munich dentist that gives me €200 an hour to run with him, and then we run 5:30 pace, and I have to tell him how great he is, that's simply...
I assume you're speaking in kilometers.
Yeah. I speak kilometers. Yeah, so I don't know what that would be in miles, maybe
10,
7, 8.
That's about how fast I run.
So
on a good day.
Whatever.
Tempo.
It's... That's not satisfying. I'd rather be a coach for kids, make €800 a month for it, than see some 15-year-olds kill themselves in every session.
That'd be cool.
That'd be much more satisfying.
You got a great personality. I could help you get started with a podcast, perhaps. You could start broadcasting, Faris. What do you think? Start telling all the old war stories.
No.
You can tell. You save all the Macca stories for your own show. You can finally give all the dirt.
No, I think it's really fun to be on a show like this, but I don't want to do it constantly. You know?
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It's a struggle. It's a struggle having to come up with something every week. Dark Mark luckily writes all the jokes for me, so he does pretty good.
Yeah, you have to outsource something.
I know. Well, we do a thing, we call it 5 questions at the end of every interview. And I'm going to play a little bit of funky music. This is rapid fire, okay? You ready? The pressure is on.
I'll try my best.
All right, I know you will. Okay, question number 1. First of all, give it up for Faris, studio audience. Question number 1. Mark, why don't you ask this question?
All right. So what I love about the German language is you seem to have a word for everything. And my favorite word is Gesicht, which of course, which means someone who has a face in need of a punch, right?
Yes, what is?
Who in triathlon is Gesicht?
You have to name a name, Faris. These are the rules.
Honestly, I don't.
Lionel Sanders.
I don't even know the guy. You know, I sat with him at the pro panel yesterday, but
have you looked at him?
Jan Frodeno.
No,
Sebastian Kienle.
no, not at all.
Chris
I mean,
McCormack.
You know, Sebastian, you know, might be not the most handsome guy on the circuit. I wouldn't match him for that.
All right, so we'll leave his face alone. Question number 2. On which river is Hamburg?
Elbe.
That is correct. All right, question number 3. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sick are you of answering questions about your Speedo?
6.
Ways to go.
That is, I would have thought of 10. But all right, people out there, if you're going to interview Faris after keep asking. He's happy to talk about it.
I got a good endurance, you know.
Great endurance. He could persevere anything. Question number 4, very tough one. What month is Oktoberfest in?
September.
That is correct. And final question for all the money, which is none. Is hummus a comparable substitute for chamois butter?
I'll try that next time I go for a ride.
Yeah, I mean, it's nutrition, it's lubrication, it's everything, Faris.
It's organic.
It's organic.
You know, other than eating, I've never come up with an idea, but I'll try next time.
See, this is why Dark Mark's a genius. He came up with this joke. I love it. All right, man. Well, listen, thank you so much for doing this.
You're most welcome.
You were a great guest. I consider us now to be close personal friends. We'll possibly email each other every week.
That's a threat.
We'll talk about fatherhood. We'll talk about what it's like to approach 40. But no, seriously, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure, and good luck Saturday. We'll be out there cheering like maniacs. I predict that you will win. I'm rooting for you.
That's very polite. Thank you very much.
I may or may not have said that to everyone else that I've interviewed yesterday, but I really mean it this time the most. Isn't that true? Look at the sincerity on my face, Mark.
I feel it. I feel
Yes.
your sincerity.
All right, everybody, once again, give it up for Faris Al-Sultan. Did I pronounce that correctly? What's the correct pronunciation? I want to make sure I nail it.
Well, it depends on whether you pronounce it like the Germans or the Arabs.
Well, give me both. This would be interesting.
Faris Al-Sultan, this is like the Germans, and Faris Al-Sultan would be the Arabic way.
And now I will give the Midwestern American pronunciation. Faris Al-Sultan. Thanks, man. Really appreciate it. This was fun.
You're most welcome.
All right.
Thank you.